Hi y'all, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. To my subbies, thank you very much for staying subscribed. If you're passing by, I hope this content is good enough for you to subscribe. If you're seeing me for the first time, I'm Miss Lucas, a Namibian based in Nairobi, Kenya. Firstly, I would like to apologize to my subbies for not posting for the past 2 Fridays. But if you're following me on Instagram, which you should be, I did post that the first Friday I was actually out. I was on vacation. It was Easter. I went to Zanzibar. Yeah, last Friday, honestly guys, I just needed to recoup. I needed to more rest. Initially, my plan was to pre-record the videos before the Zanzibar trip, but I caught a flu and it just took over me. Honestly, I was on vacation with flu. That's why I couldn't feel my voice was gone at some point. It was a terrible flu. So I hope you guys understand and are forgiving me. In today's video, I'll be sharing 10 reasons why I love living in Nairobi or Kenya in general as an expat. These are the cultural shocks from the positive perspective. As you all know, I relocated from Namibia to Nairobi in November 2023, and I'm filming this video on the 10th of April. Basically, I've been in the country for the past 6 months. I feel like I'm confident enough to know what is happening in Nairobi and Kenya in general. I feel this is the perfect opportunity to share with you guys the 10 good things. I swear there are more than 10, but I'm just highlighting the 10. After some research, I know there are also some bad stuff about living in Nairobi, but obviously the good outweighs the bad. I'm excited to share with you guys that. Disclaimer, I come from Namibia, which is in the southern part of Africa, and Kenya is in East Africa. So, for instance, my population has been 2.5 million for the past, I don't know how many years, until the census results came out this year that we're at 3,000, and the Kenyan population is at 54 million. So obviously, you see that disparity already. Coming from a small country to a more fast and paced country could mean a lot to different people. So depending on where you're coming from in the world. The first good thing about living in Nairobi is the driving. Now, coming from Namibia, we drive on the right hand side, and it's the same in Kenya. People drive on the right hand side. So I love that because when I have to drive a car, I am not confused. So that's a very good thing. Most of the Ubers, when I tell my drivers that I'm from Namibia, you'll have a conversation about the Nama genocide, Trans-Kalahari, and even the former presidents, which is Dr. Sam Nujoma and Dr. Hifikepunye Pohamba. And actually, when our former president passed on, Dr. Hage Geingob, may his soul rest in peace, they knew that I came from Namibia. They'd always be like, Pole sana, Pole sana. Like, I'm so sorry for your loss and stuff. They're actually interested in news, not just drivers, but yeah, in general. But these conversations are what you would get like in a normal Uber. Now, comparing it to back home, the conversations that you'll have in a cab while in Bangkok is usually, yes, the news, but not international news. It will be mostly the local news and a lot of gossip. So yeah, correct me if I'm wrong guys, but these are the conversations I have when I'm in Bangkok in taxis. In Nairobi, the transport system is versatile. There are a lot of transport systems, and especially for the individual ones, you have Uber, Bolt, and Little Cab. These are the 3 that I've used, but I'm sure there are more than this. I know back home there's a lot of this as well, but the prices, I feel like the Namibian prices are high when I compare them to the Kenyan prices. Yeah. And also, there's a strict rule, like say for instance, the smaller cars where you'd find the Mazda Demios, which are called like the chap-chaps. The chap-chap cars, there's a maximum of 3 people that can enter into the car, which is 1 person in front and 2 people behind. But here, I think there are a lot of rules which people actually comply to. So those chap-chaps, maximum people to carry are 3. The second aspect is the payment system. Ever since I moved to Nairobi, I don't remember the last time I actually held a note, like physical money. I don't remember the last time I held it. Like, it's been months. So there are a lot of payment methods, but the most popular one is actually the mobile money, which is M-Pesa. Everyone has M-Pesa. and it's so convenient. You go to the lady selling mealies by the side of the road, they have M-Pesa. You can send them the money. You're using Uber, you use M-Pesa. And say for instance you paid for an Uber via cash and you need change, you will most probably not get it. The drivers won't have physical cash unless maybe they decide to give it to you via M-Pesa, but that's also if you have M-Pesa. M-Pesa mobile money is very, very common here. You go in your big shops, which is Carrefour, which in Namibia would be Pick n Pay, ShopRite, you pay with M-Pesa. You go in Woolies, you pay with M-Pesa. Like everything, everywhere you pay with M-Pesa. That's a good thing. I mean, in Namibia, we also have such systems. We have MobiPay. I think we also have PayPal. We have Pay Today. But people are resistant. If you're using these services, let me know, because I know a lot of people that would not use the services, they would rather use the cash. It is the best thing that ever happened. I know they also have M-Pesa in Tanzania, because I was in Tanzania, I said last week. M-Pesa, 10 over 10 minus nothing, because I love that service. I'm hooked. That to me is very convenient. Yeah, and everyone uses it. The third reason why I like living in Kenya as an expat is the fact that Nairobi, or Kenya in general, is environmental friendly. Now, if you don't know, Nairobi is known as the environmental capital of the world. Why? Most of the development agencies, the international agencies that deals with environmental spaces are HQ'd in Nairobi. And to top it all off, because of those policies and regulations, Kenya has introduced the no single plastic usage. I think back home 3 years ago, the Ministry of Environment introduced the charging of plastic bags. Like when you go in the supermarkets, you'll get charged. I think it was a 50 cent last time I checked. Yeah, but here in Nairobi, it's totally banned. So the reusable ones are the ones that you get from supermarkets. There is no plastic at all. You do see straws here and there. They're trying to eliminate them, like government is saying. No single plastic usage is allowed in the country, and obviously this is good for the environment. I actually even feel guilty when I hold my plastic, because I came with some plastics when I came from Namibia, right? When I have those plastic bags, I always feel guilty, but I have them home. I can't even go outside with them. You still buy the reusable bags. I remember when I first came, I would forget about the bags that I have at home and go buy new bags. But I've made it a habit now that every time I go to the supermarket, I have my bags in my bag that I will use and reuse them. So yeah, I love that about Kenya. Big ups to the Kenya government, honestly, on that initiative. Very, very superb. It's leading, especially in the African continent. And yeah. Fourth reason why I like living in Kenya as an expat, which is also linked to what I mentioned earlier, as in international organizations, especially in the environmental space, HQ'd in Nairobi. The other good thing is, I think most of the international organizations are seeing potential in the Kenyan government, to an extent that some of the UN agencies are actually moving their HQs here. UNFPA and UNICEF recently have started relocating to Kenya, which just means that, number one, obviously the international relations space is fine. The political, the stability and safety is very important, because for most international organizations, they want to make sure that, especially on the policy and the safety aspect, is a key priority. So that also just shows that safety and security in Kenya is a priority and is being dealt with, that international organizations are actually considering moving their HQs here. Because of this fact, you'd find many international schools. I know we have international schools in Windhoek, but trust me, they're not a lot. There are many international schools. You can see a lot of diplomats that you'd see in Namibia. But like I said, obviously due to the population, that can also be a contributing factor. The reason why I love living in Kenya is I see the potential of small businesses, yeah? They are booming. Go on Instagram and there are a lot of boutiques. They're exporting, they're importing, and it's so beautiful to see a lot of young people are involved in business opportunities. That is good. Guys, I don't know where you're watching from. I'm comparing it to my country. Right now, I know a lot of small businesses, especially what we call the 50% deposit businesses back home. I know right now they're struggling because of NAMRA regulations. I know here they also have that, but I think it's also because Kenya is in East Africa, literally closer to Europe than the Southern African countries, so it's easier to export. Obviously they have the ports here as well, just the way we have, but I feel like here even individuals would import things for their houses and stuff. I don't think is accessible mostly back home. I can guarantee you that here an individual is most likely to order from Alibaba and get the items, but back home I know a lot of people shopping online are actually demotivated. They don't even want to shop online. The sixth reason why I love living in Kenya as an expat is the food varieties. For example, I'll go into Carrefour, which is one of the biggest supermarkets. In Carrefour, I'll go to a rice section. At the rice section, I would find 20 different types of rices. Brands, flavors, I would find 20 to 50 different types. Whilst looking at that back home, I think I'll just go like maybe 5, 6, 7 different types of rice. You get your tastic, you get your mamas. Like, we don't really have varieties in back home in Namibia. Actually, the food is nice, or maybe just because, guys, I don't know, my taste buds are like on point. Wherever I go in the world, I will eat the food and I won't even complain. I actually joked about it that if it's edible, I'm eating it and I won't complain, because I don't know, for some reason my taste buds just align to whatever country that I travel to, so I never have problem with food. And then obviously the meat part, if you're coming from the Southern African part, you know we love our meat, we love our kapana. Yeah, they call it nyama choma, so nyama choma is everywhere. It's like being back home, and the meat is like so plenty, only that they cook it differently. And you would get different type of nyama choma. You would get lamb, you would get beef. I mean, back home would usually just have beef. Here I feel like there's a lot of variety here, and the meat also tastes so nice. Just to let you guys know, I've tasted like halal meat ever since I moved here, and I just realized I love halal meat. I think I'm sold to that concept. I love it. It tastes actually nicer. The meat, top. Obviously their staple food is ugali and meat. Ugali, which is like pap, only that it's hard. Like, they put in a lot of flour in the pot that it's actually very hard. I mean, with our pap you can make it as soft, but ugali is very hard. And one thing I've observed with Kenyans, they love ugali. Say for instance you're at work and you have lunch with your colleagues, some would have ugali. And shout out to my colleague Steve, if you're watching this. I remember when I moved to Kenya, I was a bit like slim and he told me, you need to eat ugali so that you can get the muscles and the booty. I started eating ugali and I've seen the improvement, I've seen the gains in the right places. But overall, what I can say is people here love ugali to a point where lunch break at work you are eating ugali. I wouldn't even consider eating pap back home while I'm on a lunch break, because I feel like it's just too much. But here, I'm sold. I eat a lot of ugali to a point where I even cook a lot of pap in my place now. So yeah, the food, I love it. The seventh reason why I love living in Kenya is people are friendly here. You get into a restaurant and you get full customer service. Like, you are served. People are not grumpy. Like, everyone is just happy. They want you comfortable. They want you to come back to your place. I love it. I love the customer service here. While when I'm home and I go to a restaurant, most of the waiters, they feel like they're doing you a favor, which is not good. Customer service is not good back home. Here, they really put in the effort to make sure that you're comfortable and that you can tip them. And it's not forced. No one will tell you add a 50% or whatnot, but you obviously tip them because they make you feel at home. Not just in the restaurant, guys. Anywhere you go, banks, whatnot, like the customer service is just top notch. It's good. The eighth reason why I love living in Nairobi is there are a lot of automated services. Say for instance you go in Carrefour and you want to buy meat. There's a system where you get a number and get called according to the number. I know back home corporate organizations have that service, but like in supermarkets you don't. And say for instance you go to a traffic light, when there is red, it does the countdown. Like, you don't even need to count the seconds on your own as a driver. The traffic light's actually showing you how many seconds are left for you to have a green light. So I love that about the automated services. Now the ninth reason why I love living in Nairobi as an expat, I feel like politicians here are real politicians. Let me give an example of the president here. I've been to a conference and the president was giving a speech. And I tell you, I remember 50% of that speech. Why? They really master their art as being a politician. Number one, the president didn't read. Literally, he spoke, the tone, the words, everything was synchronizing. This was like a good speech. Now, I compare it to some of the politicians back home. I hardly see politicians there that just go and speak. Most of them always have like speeches written for them and they would be reading the whole time. Now, the president's speech, this one, guys, I was just like, this is why you're president. Because who wouldn't buy into this idea of what you're saying? And then it actually reminds me of when the president announced, Kenya is open. Come visit Kenya. It's visa free. And then come here, people are being told, no, it is visa free, but you have to pay for the ETA. But then you are sold by the concept, and there's nothing you can do then to pay for these $32 and to enter the country. Here, the politicians, they really mastered their art. When you speak to the locals, they obviously have their perspective about politicians and stuff. Yeah, but overall, I think here the politicians are politicianing. Is that even a word? Guys, Kenya is green. Nairobi is green. A lot of gardens, a lot of also botanical gardens. There's even a forest in the capital city, which is the Karura forest, where you just pay entrance and you can walk, you can do your run in there. Guys, it's so green. Now, obviously, I'm coming from a dry country, yeah? I don't expect Namibia to be green, but I feel like for me, there's just something about the green that balances nature and also humankind that when I'm stressed, I just want to do a walk in the forest, in the woods, in the garden. While I'm talking about the greeneries also and plants, flowers here are cheap. Okay, let me not say cheap. They're affordable. Very affordable, like to the point where for myself, I get me flowers every weekend just for the week for my space. You always find flowers in my place, and when they're dry, then I'll obviously replace them. I get like roses and stuff like that. If you're doing relationship njolo things in Kenya, especially in Nairobi, and you're not getting roses, I don't know what you're doing with your life, girl, because flowers are cheap. You'd get like a very big bouquet that is affordable, good. They're like at every corner. I would go like in my street, yeah? At the corner, I would find someone selling flowers. That's how accessible they are. Flowers, they're just all over throughout the whole year. So I love that greenery part, and it really just resets my soul. Can't you see I'm happy, guys? Like the greenery part. Now this is a bonus point because I've already mentioned the 10. It's the content creation. Content creation in Nairobi is booming. There's space for everyone, and I like it. I remember when I first came, I didn't know where to buy items and stuff like that. And I realized actually when you go on TikTok, everything is there. You can find all the shops, you can find all the different types of content. Like everyone is doing content creation and people are making money. Government is actually championing the youth to be content creators. A few weeks ago, the president had announced that they've partnered with Meta to make sure that content creators from June would be getting paid. As a content creator in Kenya, starting June 2024, you can get paid using your Instagram and your Facebook accounts. So the government is supporting the young people. The young people are creative. Coca-Cola is a good example because Coca-Cola has partnered with a lot of content creators from different countries. And when you look at the content that is coming out of Kenya from creators on Coca-Cola adverts, they're here, up here. Like the creativity is on point, everything. So yeah, and for me, that's how I've also put in effort to make sure that my content creation, as in for YouTube, is getting me somewhere. Because gone are the days when you're just on social media for connecting. Nope. Yeah. But anyhow, the content creation space is really booming. There's possibilities. People are getting paid. They're doing courses. Like there is a lot of content creation happening in Kenya. Good quality, by the way. If you have visited Kenya, please comment in the section below and let me know some of the culture shocks that perhaps I have not included, the positive ones, so that we build on the 11 that I just shared. Also, let me know if I should do the 10 negative reasons or aspects that I do not like living in Nairobi or Kenya in general, which I'll do in my next video, so let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching until the end. I would appreciate if you can comment, like, and subscribe, and also share this video with your family. Very important, don't forget to subscribe because it helps grow this community. And if you're visiting Kenya anytime soon, I hope this video is helpful for your next trip. See you next week Friday. Love, Miss Lucas.
I can see the stars align.